They called her poor, useless, a nobody, until the day she walked onto that stage and the entire room fell silent. But before that moment came, Emma Green lived through 3 years that would have broken most people. 3 years of silence. 3 years of pain. 3 years of hoping that love would be enough. Let me tell you how it all began. The wedding promise. Emma Green was 23 years old when she married Daniel Foster. She remembered that day so clearly, the way the sunlight streamed through the church windows, the way Daniel smiled at her when he slipped the ring onto her finger. He looked at her like she was the only person in the world. And in that moment, Emma believed she had found what she was looking for. True love. You see, Emma wasn't just any ordinary woman. She was the only daughter of the Green family, one of the wealthiest, most powerful families in all of America. Her father owned companies that stretched across continents. Her name alone could open any door, command any room, change any situation. But Emma didn't want that life. She didn't want people to love her for her money. She didn't want men to see dollar signs when they looked at her. She wanted someone to love her for her kindness, her heart, her soul. So she made a decision that shocked her family. She hid her identity. She walked away from the mansions, the luxury cars, the designer clothes. She became just Emma, a quiet, simple girl with a warm smile and a gentle heart. And when she met Daniel Foster at a small coffee shop one rainy afternoon, she thought she had finally found what she was searching for. He didn't know who she really was. He just knew Emma, the woman who laughed at his jokes, who listened to his dreams, who made him feel seen. He loved her. Or at least, she thought he did. They got married 6 months later. It was a small ceremony. Daniel's family was there, his parents, his younger sister, a few relatives. They weren't rich. In fact, Daniel's family business was struggling. They were proud people trying to hold on to their dignity while everything around them crumbled. Emma didn't care about their money. She only cared about Daniel. But the moment she stepped into the Foster family home as Daniel's wife, everything changed. Living in the shadows. The Foster family home was cold. Not just in temperature, though it was that too, but in the way they looked at her. The way they spoke to her. The way they treated her like she was beneath them. Daniel's mother was the worst. Mrs. Foster was a bitter woman who blamed the world for her family's failures. And now, she had someone new to blame, Emma. "You're useless," Mrs. Foster would say, her voice sharp like broken glass. "What kind of woman doesn't even bring a dowry? What kind of family raises a daughter with nothing to offer?" Emma would stand there in the kitchen, hands trembling as she washed dishes, and say nothing. "She's just a poor girl Daniel picked up out of pity," Daniel's sister would whisper loudly enough for Emma to hear. I don't know what he was thinking. Every single day, it was the same. They called her lazy when she worked from dawn until midnight. They called her stupid when she made the smallest mistake. They said she didn't belong, that she was dragging the family down, that Daniel deserved better. And Daniel? Daniel said nothing. In the beginning, he would defend her quietly. He would pull her aside and say, "Don't listen to them, Emma. They'll come around." But as the months passed, even those small comforts disappeared. He grew distant. Tired. He stopped meeting her eyes at the dinner table. Emma told herself it was just stress. The family business was failing. Daniel was working long hours, trying to save everything his father had built. He was exhausted. That's all it was. She convinced herself that if she just loved him enough, if she just endured enough, everything would get better. But it didn't. It got worse. The lies begin. Her name was Lily Moore. She appeared in their lives like a gentle breeze on a summer day, soft, pleasant, seemingly harmless. Lily was a family friend, someone Daniel had known since childhood. She was beautiful in that delicate way that made people want to protect her. She had big, innocent eyes and a sweet voice that never rose above a whisper. Everyone loved Lily. Mrs. Foster treated her like the daughter she wished she had. "Lily is so refined," she would say, glancing pointedly at Emma. "She knows how to carry herself. Not like some people." Lily started visiting the house more often. She would bring flowers for Mrs. Foster. She would offer to help with dinner, though she never actually did any of the work. Emma still did that. But Lily would stand there, smiling sweetly, while Mrs. Foster praised her endlessly. And then, Lily turned her attention to Daniel. It started small. A hand on his arm when she laughed. Sitting just a little too close during family dinners. Asking him for help with small things. Could he fix her car? Could he look at her computer? Could he give her advice about a business matter? Daniel, kind and tired as he was, always said yes. Emma watched it all happen. She felt the slow, creeping dread in her stomach, but she said nothing. What could she say? Lily hadn't done anything wrong. Not really. Not yet. But then the lies began. One evening, Lily came to the house crying. Her dress was torn at the shoulder, her makeup smeared. She ran straight to Mrs. Foster, sobbing. It was Emma, Lily choked out between tears. She pushed me. She said terrible things to me. She said I didn't belong here. Emma's heart stopped. That's not true, Emma said, her voice shaking. I wasn't even near her today. I've been in the kitchen all evening. But Mrs. Foster didn't listen. She turned to Emma with fury in her eyes. How dare you? How dare you lay a hand on Lily? You jealous, spiteful girl. I didn't touch her. Emma pleaded, looking at Daniel. Daniel, you know I wouldn't. But Daniel wasn't looking at her. He was looking at Lily, at her tears, at her torn dress. And Emma saw something shift in his eyes. Doubt. Emma, he said slowly, maybe you should apologize. The words hit her like a slap. Apologize? For something I didn't do. Just apologize. Please. Let's not make this worse. That night, Emma lay in bed next to her husband and realized something terrifying. He didn't believe her. The breaking point. The lies continued. Money went missing from Mrs. Foster's purse. Lily said she saw Emma near it. A valuable vase shattered. Lily said Emma had been angry and reckless. Every accusation was believed. Every denial was ignored. Emma felt herself shrinking, disappearing, becoming invisible in her own life. But she held on. She held on because of one thing. She was pregnant. When Emma found out, she cried tears of joy for the first time in months. This baby would change everything. This baby would bring Daniel back to her. This baby would be proof that their love was real, that it mattered, that it could survive anything. She told Daniel one quiet evening, her hands shaking as she held the pregnancy test. For a moment, just one beautiful moment, she saw the old Daniel again. His eyes went wide. He pulled her into his arms. A baby, he whispered. We're going to have a baby. That night, Emma believed everything would be okay. She was wrong. 2 weeks later, Lily came to the house again. This time, she was holding her arm, wincing in pain. She said Emma had pushed her down the stairs. She said Emma was jealous, violent, dangerous. She tried to hurt me, Lily sobbed. She said I was taking everything from her. Emma was upstairs when it happened. She heard the commotion and ran down, only to find everyone gathered around Lily. I didn't push her. Emma cried. I wasn't even downstairs. But no one listened. Mrs. Foster screamed at her. Daniel's sister called her a monster. And then Mrs. Foster did something unforgivable. She pushed Emma. Hard. Emma stumbled backward, lost her balance, and fell. The pain was immediate, sharp and terrible. She crumpled to the floor, holding her stomach, gasping. Daniel, she whispered. Daniel, please. The baby. But Daniel was helping Lily to her feet, making sure she was okay. He didn't even look at Emma. That night, Emma lost her baby. She lay in the hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, and felt something inside her break that could never be repaired. The doctors said there were complications. The fall had caused everything to go wrong. Daniel came to the hospital, but his face was cold. Distant. Lily said you attacked her first, he said quietly. She said you were out of control. Emma looked at the man she had loved, the man she had sacrificed everything for, and realized the truth. He would never believe her. No matter what she said. No matter what she did. It was over. The decision. 3 days after losing her baby, Emma filed for divorce. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She didn't explain. She simply signed the papers, packed her small bag of belongings, and walked out of the Foster family home forever. Mrs. Foster stood at the door and laughed. Good riddance. We never needed you anyway. Daniel said nothing. He just watched her go. Emma walked down that long driveway, her body aching, her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. She had nothing. No home. No husband. No baby. But as she reached the end of the driveway and looked back one last time, something stirred inside her. She wasn't nothing. She was Emma Green. And it was time the world remembered who that meant. 6 months. That's how long it took for Emma Green to rise from the ashes of her broken life. 6 months of healing. 6 months of remembering who she really was. 6 months of preparing for the moment when the truth would finally come to light. And tonight, in the heart of New York City, at the most prestigious fashion and art event of the year, that moment had arrived. Let me tell you what happened next. The fashion and art event. The Grand Metropolitan Hall glittered like a palace made of stars. Crystal chandeliers hung from the ceiling, casting warm golden light across marble floors. Men in tailored suits and women in designer gowns moved through the space like they owned the world. Champagne flowed. Cameras flashed. This wasn't just an event, it was the event. Everyone who mattered was here. Business tycoons. Fashion icons. Artists whose work hung in museums. Politicians. Celebrities. The elite of the elite. And somewhere in that crowd, completely unaware of what was about to happen, stood Daniel Foster and Lily Moore. Daniel looked uncomfortable in his rented suit. He didn't belong here, not really. But Lily had insisted they come. She'd been invited as a guest of some minor fashion connection, and she'd dragged Daniel along, clinging to his arm like she always did. "Isn't this amazing?" Lily whispered, her eyes wide as she looked around. "Can you imagine being part of this world?" Daniel nodded absently. He was thinking about Emma. He'd been thinking about her a lot lately, though he'd never admit it out loud. 6 months had passed since the divorce, and something gnawed at him. A feeling he couldn't shake. A doubt that kept him awake at night. But he pushed those thoughts away. Lily squeezed his hand, smiling up at him with those innocent eyes, and he forced himself to smile back. The lights dimmed. A hush fell over the crowd as everyone turned toward the stage. The host, a famous fashion editor whose name alone commanded respect, stepped up to the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," she said, her voice smooth and confident, "tonight we have something truly special. We're honored to present not just a showcase of art and fashion, but the official introduction of someone who represents the future of both industries, someone whose vision, talent, and grace have been hidden for far too long." Daniel frowned slightly. Something about the energy in the room had shifted. People were leaning forward, whispering excitedly to one another. "Please join me in welcoming the heiress of the Green family empire, the newly appointed chairwoman of Green Group International, and tonight's featured artist and designer, Miss Emma Green." The room erupted in applause. And then Emma walked onto that stage. Emma's return. Time seemed to stop. Daniel's heart lurched in his chest. His mouth went dry. He felt Lily's hand tighten on his arm, her nails digging in, but he couldn't look away from the woman on stage. It was Emma. But it wasn't the Emma he remembered. This Emma moved with quiet power. She wore a stunning gown that looked like it had been woven from moonlight and confidence, elegant, sophisticated, breathtaking. Her hair was styled perfectly. Her makeup was flawless. But it wasn't the clothes or the styling that made everyone stare. It was her presence. She stood at the center of that stage like she had been born to be there. Her eyes swept across the crowd, calm, clear, unshakable. There was no trace of the broken woman who had left the Foster house 6 months ago. This was someone else entirely. Or rather, this was who Emma had always been underneath. "Good evening," Emma said, her voice carrying effortlessly through the hall. "Some of you may know my family name. Some of you may have wondered where I've been. Tonight, I want to share my journey with you, not just as a designer and artist, but as a woman who learned that hiding who you are never protects you. It only makes you smaller." The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Behind the stage, a massive screen lit up, displaying Emma's artwork, powerful, emotional pieces that told stories of pain and resilience. Fashion designs that blended traditional elegance with bold, modern statements. Each piece was numbered and had already been bid on by collectors and museums. "For 3 years," Emma continued, "I lived a life where I was told I was worthless. Where I was treated like I had nothing to offer. I hid my identity because I wanted to be loved for who I was, not what I had. But I learned something important during those years." She paused, and for just a moment, her eyes found Daniel in the crowd. "I learned that people who truly love you don't need you to be small. They don't need you to hide. They celebrate who you are, all of it. And those who can't see your worth? They never deserved you in the first place." Thunderous applause filled the room. People rose to their feet. Cameras flashed like lightning. Daniel stood frozen, his face pale. Next to him, Lily had gone absolutely rigid, her sweet smile cracking at the edges. Emma smiled on stage, not a triumphant smile, not a vengeful one. Just a peaceful, genuine smile of someone who had finally found herself again. But the night wasn't over yet. The fall of Lily Moore. "Before we continue," Emma said, raising her hand to quiet the applause, "there's something else that needs to be addressed. You see, my journey wasn't just about hiding my identity. It was also about being betrayed by people I trusted. About being framed, manipulated, and lied about repeatedly." The energy in the room shifted. People glanced at one another, confused but intensely curious. Emma gestured to the screen behind her. "For months, I endured accusations without proof. I was blamed for things I never did. And the worst part? The people who should have believed me, didn't." The screen flickered, and a video began to play. Daniel's blood turned to ice. It was security footage, clear, time-stamped, undeniable. The first clip showed the Foster family living room. The date was from over a year ago. In the video, Lily looked around carefully, then deliberately tore her own dress at the shoulder. She messed up her makeup with her fingers, practiced crying in a mirror, and then ran toward where the family would be, tears streaming down her face. The entire hall gasped. The next clip showed Lily taking money from Mrs. Foster's purse and hiding it in her own bag. Another showed her deliberately knocking over the expensive vase, then glancing toward the kitchen where Emma had been working. Clip after clip played, months of calculated cruelty, all planned, all intentional. And then the final video played. This one was harder to watch. It showed the staircase in the Foster home. Lily was alone. She looked around, then deliberately sat on the stairs and rolled down them carefully, just far enough to bruise her arm. She sat at the bottom, composed herself, and then started crying loudly. Minutes later, Emma appeared at the top of the stairs, looking confused and alarmed. But by then, the family was already running to Lily, already believing her lies, already blaming Emma. And then came the worst moment. Mrs. Foster shoving Emma. Emma falling. Emma crumpling to the floor, holding her stomach, her face twisted in pain. The entire hall was silent. Some people had their hands over their mouths. Others looked angry, disturbed. That day, Emma said quietly, her voice thick with emotion, "I lost my baby. And the man I loved believed I was the villain in my own tragedy." She let those words sit in the air for a moment. Then the lights came up, and security guards appeared at the edges of the hall. "Lily Moore," Emma said, looking directly at the woman who had destroyed her life, "the police have been waiting for this evidence. You're under arrest for fraud, assault, and conspiracy." Everything happened so fast. Lily tried to run, but the guards were already there. She screamed, she cried, she begged, but this time, her tears didn't work. People moved away from her in disgust. Cameras captured every moment of her downfall. "It wasn't me." Lily shrieked as the police handcuffed her. "She's lying. Daniel, tell them. Daniel." But Daniel couldn't speak. He stood there, frozen, watching the woman he had defended, the woman he had believed over his own wife, being dragged away in handcuffs. And then he understood. Everything. Every lie. Every betrayal. Every moment he had chosen Lily over Emma. He had been so wrong. Daniel's regret. After Lily was taken away, the event continued, but Daniel couldn't focus on any of it. He pushed through the crowd, desperate, frantic, until he reached the edge of the stage where security was standing. "I need to see Emma," he said, his voice breaking. "Please. I need to talk to her." The guard looked at him skeptically but spoke into his radio. A few agonizing minutes later, Emma appeared. She looked at him with those calm, clear eyes, so different from the fearful, hopeful eyes he remembered. "Emma," Daniel choked out. He felt tears burning in his eyes. "Emma, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. About everything. I should have believed you. I should have protected you. His voice broke. "I lost our baby because of my stupidity. I lost you. Please. Please, Emma. Give me another chance. Let me make this right." People nearby had stopped to watch. Phones were recording. But Daniel didn't care. He would beg in front of the entire world if he had to. Emma looked at him for a long moment. And for just a second, Daniel saw something flicker in her eyes, maybe sadness, maybe memory, maybe the ghost of the love they used to share. But then she spoke, and her voice was gentle but firm. "Daniel," she said softly, "I spent 3 years making myself smaller so you would love me. I endured cruelty, humiliation, and pain because I believed love could conquer anything. But love isn't supposed to hurt like that. Love isn't supposed to make you invisible." "I know," he whispered. "I know, and I'm so sorry. I lost our baby," Emma continued, her voice steady even as her eyes glistened, "because your family pushed me and you didn't even look at me. You were too busy making sure she was okay. Do you understand what that did to me? Do you understand that I called your name and you turned away?" Daniel's tears fell freely now. "I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. I swear. Just give me a chance." Emma shook her head slowly. "Some things can't be fixed with apologies, Daniel. Some wounds are too deep. The woman who loved you, the woman who would have done anything for you, she doesn't exist anymore. You broke her. And the woman standing here now? She knows her worth. And she knows it's not with you." Before Daniel could respond, an older man approached the stage, tall, distinguished, with silver hair and eyes that looked exactly like Emma's. Mr. Green, Emma's father. He put his arm around his daughter and looked at Daniel with a cold, assessing gaze. Then he turned to the crowd and took the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mr. Green said, his voice booming with pride, "I want to make an official announcement. Effective immediately, my daughter Emma Green will assume the role of chairwoman of Green Group International. She has proven herself to be brilliant, resilient, and visionary. Our company is in the best possible hands." The applause was deafening. Emma's family surrounded her, her father, her mother who had flown in for this moment, cousins and executives who respected and admired her. They celebrated her, supported her, showed her the love she had always deserved. Daniel watched it all from the edge of the crowd, realizing the full scope of what he had lost. She wasn't just Emma. She was Emma Green. She was powerful, wealthy, respected, brilliant. She had always been all of those things. And he had treated her like she was nothing. Walking forward. Hours later, after the event had ended and the crowds had dispersed, Emma stood on the balcony of the Grand Metropolitan Hall, looking out over the glittering New York City skyline. Her father joined her, handing her a glass of champagne. "You handled that with incredible grace," he said quietly. "I'm proud of you, Emma. So proud." Emma smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Thank you, Dad. For everything. For giving me space to find my own way, even when it hurt. For being here when I needed you. Always," he said firmly. "You're my daughter. Nothing will ever change that." They stood in comfortable silence for a moment. "Do you think you'll ever forgive him?" her father asked carefully. Emma thought about it. She thought about the boy Daniel used to be, the man she had loved, the life they could have had. "Maybe someday I'll forgive him," she said finally. "But forgiveness doesn't mean going back. Some chapters end, Dad. And that's okay. It makes room for new ones." Her father squeezed her shoulder. "Then here's to new chapters. To the woman you've become. To everything ahead." They clinked glasses, and Emma felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. She had chosen herself. She had chosen truth. She had chosen her own worth. And for the first time in a long time, the future looked bright. 3 months later, Emma stood in the Green Group boardroom, presenting a new initiative that would provide mentorship and business opportunities for women from all backgrounds, rich or poor, connected or not. "Everyone deserves a chance to be seen for who they really are," she told the board. "Not what they have, not where they come from, but who they are in their heart." The initiative was approved unanimously. It would carry her mother's name and would change thousands of lives. Outside that boardroom, the world kept turning. Daniel Foster went back to his struggling family business, haunted by his mistakes. Lily Moore faced trial and imprisonment for her crimes. Mrs. Foster lived with the guilt of what she had done, though she never apologized. But Emma? Emma moved forward. She dated when she felt like it, but never rushed. She built her company with wisdom and compassion. She created art that inspired people. She lived fully, authentically, powerfully. And every single day, she woke up knowing one simple truth. She had saved herself. Not a man. Not money. Not revenge. Just her, choosing to stand up, walk away from what hurt her, and step into who she was always meant to be. This story teaches us something important, something we all need to remember. Your worth is not determined by how others treat you. It's not measured by who believes you or who stands by you. Your worth is inherent, it exists simply because you exist. And if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're being made smaller, where your truth is being ignored, where your pain is being dismissed, remember Emma. Remember that walking away isn't giving up. It's choosing yourself. It's choosing truth. It's choosing a future where you're not just surviving, but thriving. The people who couldn't see your value? They weren't your people. Your people are out there, waiting to celebrate everything you are. So hold your head high. Know your worth. And never, ever let anyone convince you that you're anything less than extraordinary. Because you are. Just like Emma.